Now we're going to learn the notes on the fretboard. Now you remember back we learned the 6 strings each have names, and if you play those strings open you have E, A, D, G, B, and E again. Okay? Now as we fret those open strings, those notes change names. So let's look at just the 6th string right now, which is the E string. You know that when you play this open and you go all the way up to the 12th fret, that's an octave. So from E to E is an octave. Okay, and you don't need to know what that means right now, but what you do need to know is that there are 12 tone possibilities, 12 pitch possibilities, and that's it. There can only be 12 for the entire fretboard, and that's the good news. So if I play this string open, that's an E. If I fret it on the 1st fret, I move up from E to F. Okay? Now, there are a finite number of letter names that we have to deal with, and they are A, B, C, D, E, F, and G. So there are only 7. And they always go in order of the alphabet. So if this string is E, what would you guess if I moved up 1 fret? What do you think that note name is going to be? F, because F comes after E in the alphabet. I can move up to G. I can move up to A. Then I move up to B, C, D, and E. Now, those are my 7 note names, but you notice that I skipped over some of the frets. That's because you have either sharps or flats to fill in the gaps between the notes that I just played. So, let me explain what that means. If I play this open string E, I move up to F. Now I'm going to move up 1 more, which is F sharp. Okay? Now here's what you need to know about sharps and flats. A sharp raises the note a half a step. A flat lowers it a half a step. And what's a half a step? A half a step is between any 2 frets. So if I move from fret 2 to fret 3, that's a half step. So if this note right here is F, that's 1st fret, 6th string. If I want to make it F sharp, I just move it up a half step. There's my F sharp. So let's review. 6th string open is E. The next letter in the alphabet is F. So here's my F. Move up a half step, here's F sharp. G, move up a half step, what do you think it is? G sharp. Here's my A. If I move it up a half step, it's going to be A sharp. B, B sharp, which actually is the same as C. Then I have C sharp, D, D sharp, and it starts over with E again. Now I'm going to take you to the piano and show you exactly why E sharp is the same as F and B sharp is the same as C, so you'll understand from now on, because that concept actually comes from the keyboard, not the guitar. Now what I want to do from the keyboard is explain to you why there's no B sharp and no E sharp. Now technically there is such thing as a B sharp and an E sharp. However, if you look on the keyboard and you, let's say you don't have a clue about the keyboard, I'm going to give you a quick little primer so this will make more sense to you on the fretboard, because a lot of this stuff comes from the piano. If you find a group of 2 black notes and you go right to the left, that note is a C. Then if you find a group of 3 black notes and go right to the left, that note is an F. Notice that between B, well, let's count up, just like the alphabet, C, D, E, F, G, A, B, and then it starts over with C. Notice that between B and C, there is no black note. And what that means is, if I make this note sharp, I go up a half step. Well, normally I would go to a black note, right? But the smallest interval I can have on the keyboard and on the fretboard is a half step. So when I go from B to B sharp, look what note I land on. It's C. Okay. Now if I go down to E, If I want to make it sharp, I need to raise it a half step, which means I go to the next smallest interval, which would be normally a black note, but there is no black note, so an E sharp is the same as F. So hopefully that'll help you understand why, when I say E sharp is the same as F, you see that now on the keyboard, B sharp is the same as C. So B, B sharp. Also, there's really no such thing as an F flat. If I go F and I need to lower it a half step to make it flat, if I go down to here, what note do I land on? E. If I go to C, I need to make a C flat. Well, if I make C flat, then really it's a B. So those are called enharmonics. They're the same note. E sharp is the same as F. B sharp is the same as C. F flat is the same as E. And C flat is the same as B. Okay, now what I'm going to do is go back up that same string and identify the notes for you, but instead of making things sharp, we're going to make them flat. So let's start it back out with E. We move up a half step. We're going to have E sharp, which is the same as F. Then we're going to have G flat, which we previously called F sharp, G. Then we have A flat. Okay. Now, how do I know what the note is? Well, I know that this is an E. I know if I move up a half step, it's E sharp, which is the same as F. G flat. Now, why am I calling it G flat? Well, I know that the third fret on the E string is going to be G. And if I move a half step down from G, I have a G flat. And if you look, this is my F, and if you make something sharp, you raise it a half step. So from F, move up a half step, this is going to be F sharp. So notice that the second fret on the sixth string has two names. It can either be F sharp, or it can be G flat. Now, so we have E, F, G flat, G, moving up another half step, A flat. Why? Because here's my A. If I move it down a half step, there's A flat, A. Okay. If I move up a half step from A, I've got B flat because this is my B. And notice I'm moving a half step down. That creates my flat. So here's my B, and it goes on up. So now you know the notes on the sixth string. What about the notes on the fifth string, or your A? Well, it's the same concept. We started here with A, and we moved up a half step and got A sharp. I can start on this A, move it up a half step, and I've got A sharp, B, C, C sharp, D, D sharp, E, E sharp, which is the same as F, F sharp, G, G sharp, and back to A again. And it's the same on all of the strings. If I start with D, what's the next letter in the alphabet? E. So if I go from D, if I move up from D to D a half step, that means D sharp, then E, E sharp, which is the same as F, F sharp, G, G sharp, A sharp, B, B sharp, which is the same as C, C sharp, D again. Okay? So what I want you to do is to, as you're playing, to go ahead and start thinking about the note names that you're actually playing. Think about whenever you play anything on the fretboard, ask yourself, what note am I playing, or what notes am I playing? So you can start getting ingrained in your head all the different note names in the entire guitar. And remember that once you get to the 12th fret, everything starts to repeat itself. So remember this was E? Well, open is E as well. If I move up to here, which is E sharp, which is actually the same as F, I know that this is also F, because if I start on the first fret, I add 12 to it, I get to the 13th fret. And that's exactly an octave. So really all you have to learn is from the 12th fret down, and then from here up it starts to repeat itself. And all you have to remember is that the 13th fret is the same as the first, the 14th fret is the same as the second, 15th fret is the same as the third, and so on and so forth.